So for those of you who weren't there for the Zoom call, I'm going to be showing you what we did during the class. So I want you to take out a separate sheet of paper, and as we go along through this video, you're going to be pausing the video and writing down your answers to the questions as we go along. When the class is over, take a picture of your answers and upload it to Schoology. Question number 1. What are genes? Take 2 minutes and write it down in your own words. Pause the video here. All right, so genes are a piece of information in your DNA, a code for what you look like. So in your DNA, you have different instructions for what you should look like, what kind of hair color you have, skin color, eye color, and so that genes are that information that's passed down from your parents. What is an allele? Write in your own words. Go ahead and pause the video, take 2 minutes, and write that in your own words. So an allele is one form or type of gene. So when I first learned this, it was a little bit confusing to me, but a way to think about it is by using an analogy of ice cream. So if you think about ice cream is ice cream. And when you think about ice cream, you might be thinking of a different flavor than I'm thinking of, because there are so many different types of flavors of ice cream. There's chocolate, there's vanilla, there's mint chip. So those are the different forms or types. So I think of an allele kind of like the different flavors of ice cream. There's so many different flavors, but they're all flavors or ice cream specifically. So we can think of the gene as being ice cream and the allele as being chocolate or vanilla. It's a different flavor, okay? So we can also talk about alleles as being dominant or recessive. So we know that there's a gene for height. There's a piece of information in the plant that tells it to be a certain height. But what are the alleles for height? Well, we know that the two possible alleles we could get are tall plants, like parent 1, or short plants, like parent 2. And we can talk about each allele as being dominant or recessive. So out of these two alleles, only one of them can be dominant. And for this case, the tall allele is actually the dominant allele, which means if you have the tall allele, you're going to be tall. So question number 3, did parent 2 get the dominant allele? Take a look at parent 2 compared to parent 1, pause the video, and write down your response. So we can write alleles in certain ways. If we want to write a dominant allele, we're going to write a capital letter. If we want to write a recessive allele, we're going to write a lowercase letter. Now, if we wanted to write the alleles for tall or short, what letters would you choose? Go ahead and pause the video and write your response. So for dominant alleles, when we write a capital letter and we want to write for tall, we're going to use a capital T to write our dominant allele. And for our recessive allele, are we going to use an S for short, or are we going to use a lowercase t? I want you to use your knowledge of the bioreads in the textbook to try to figure that out on your own. Okay, so number 5, plants get one allele for their height gene from parent 1. So let's say it's this plant here. And they get one allele from parent 2. Remember, when these plants are reproducing during fertilization, one of the plants is going to offer pollen, and one of them is going to offer its ovule. And when those two sex cells combine, they're going to make an offspring that has both of the alleles from parent 1 and parent 2. So the question here is, how many alleles do the plants have for the height gene in total? So if you get one from your mom, one from your dad, how many alleles do you have for your height gene? Pause the video and answer. All right, so number 6, if there are 2 alleles for every gene, one from parent 1 and parent 2, how do we write our genotype for a tall plant? Now, down here I gave you a little reminder that a genotype is just another word for the alleles that an organism has. So the 2 alleles that you get from your mom, and one from mom and one from dad, we can write that as a genotype using these letters. So I want you to figure out which is the allele, which genotype for a tall plant. Is it capital T, lowercase t, or lowercase t? And then the same thing for number 7. How do we write our genotype for a short plant? Remember, if we get one dominant allele, just one, you're going to look tall. If you get no dominant alleles, what do you think you're going to look like? Try to figure that out. All right, so last thing, we need to name our genotypes. So whenever you see 2 capital T's, we call that homozygous dominant. You can remember we've learned about this prefix homo before in the class. Homo means same. Dominant means it's the dominant allele. And remember here, the capital T tells us it's the dominant allele. So if we get 2 of the same capital T dominant alleles were homozygous.